Well, the liberals and the conservatives are at it again, and the NDPers, they're going to take care of the the, the 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 immigrants coming in. They're going to make sure that they succeed in business. Well, which business is that? Is that the store on the corner, or is it the drug shop they got behind it? That's what I'd like to know. People are starting to get pissed off with what's going on here. These people get into our country, they're living in $500,000 houses. Boom, just like that. And they claim refugee status right off the bat. And then they move into a $500,000 house. Whereas a person that was born here and worked here all his life can't even get what's due him. Can't even get WCB if he gets injured. Well, I, for one, am not impressed with Mr. Dion or Harper or Layton talking about the poor immigrant and how he needs to be helped when he gets here. The immigrants got lots of help when they get here. It's not like I've known people from Czechoslovakia when they got off the goddamn boat. They didn't know how to speak a word of English. There was nobody there to help them with $5 in his pocket. One guy, a hell of a nice man. He lived here his whole life and had a beautiful family. He learned how to speak English. He was a metal worker, and but there was nobody here to help them. Now it's different. Now they have different groups to help them, and the government it's just open door policy with the government. And a lot of we're not getting the cream of the crop all the time. We're getting a lot of criminals here because they're the ones that can afford to come. Most decent working people in their countries can no more afford to come here than we could afford to go there. They don't have any money. They're like us. They work, they eat, they sleep, they pay their rent or whatever it is they do. And that's it, just like the working people here. I got nothing against those people coming. Absolutely nothing. That's how my family come here. On a goddamn boat in 1885. And then they headed for Saskatchewan in a covered wagon during the Louis Riel Rebellion. And then they helped build this country. He was a journeyman carpenter, by the way, from Glasgow, Scotland. But they're not interested in helping the injured worker. Even the Green Party, I sent her an email asking her to bring up the injured worker question and how we're being treated. They never even bothered to reply. Well, I guess just because I fought for her rights doesn't mean she's going to fight for mine, and that's usually the way it goes. But that doesn't mean she's going to get my vote, because she's not going to get my vote. And Harper and all them, I've sent countless letter after letter to those people, and Layton, and they're not willing to help the injured worker. The only thing these people understand is confrontation. We got to organize injured workers in this country to be confrontational. We have to get in their faces and say, "Excuse me, but we're citizens too. We want our rights. We're not saying we'd like you to give us our rights. We're demanding that you give us the rights that are due to us under the charter of this country. Because it's not something to be given. It was earned a long time ago by my father and by his brothers and uncles and all this that went and fought for those rights. It's not something to be taken away by a bunch of despots. And one in particular, a fellow by the name of Dave Winter, who wrote this little fascist document, the Administrative Tribunals Act. They seem to be getting away with it right now, but history will tell. And I think the labor system in this country is in a lot of trouble. Well, this is why you see them bringing in these immigrants. They're bringing them in by the busload because they know these people aren't going to complain if they get hurt. You can throw them a few shekels, they'll go away because they don't want to get sent back. And this is what happens. Although some of them are getting a little smarter than they used to be. But the farm workers and all this kind of stuff where they're being taken advantage of and they can't speak English, they don't know their rights. And of course the WCB, because they don't have the money, can't do inspections. Oh, they got tons of money. They're investing in it. They're up to it in their friggin' necks. But they're not interested in spending any money on inspections. See, this is the thing. It's become a money-making organization. And the worst part about it is, it seems to be operating outside the law of the land. And it was given this right by Dave Winter and the businessmen of this country. And the only way that you can stop this is to strike it down. We have to demand that WCB, if they won't refuse to reform it, we have to destroy it. In other words, we go back to the tort system. Then the employer doesn't have to worry about paying them dues anymore. The only thing he has to worry about is us suing the shit out of him when he tries to screw us. And I'm beginning to believe this is what they need. They need to they've had it real good up until now. It's time to make a change. If you want to screw your workers, then you're going to get screwed. And that's the way it's got to be. But we need to get picket lines out. We should be picketing the WCB buildings. All the local injured workers should be getting together and talking and making plans. Come election, well, not even election, the days preceding the election, we have to be picketing these bloody political offices, whether it's NDP, Conservative, Liberal, doesn't matter. Just picket them all, because they're all in bed with the big business. So that's what you have to do. We have to cause them grief, because I'll tell you one thing. And we have to have somebody there with cameras filming it so that we can put it up on the internet so people know what the hell's going on. Because you can't trust the news. They're biased and they're corrupt. You can't trust them. They report only what they're told to report. They have their bosses too. And they're in control of it. You better believe it. Because of those news reporters, there's a reason for them not putting our stories up on the news. They're told, hey, you do that, you're gone. You don't have a career anymore, and they're not going to risk their careers for us. But if it's up on the computer, then they don't have a choice. It's there, and you can send it to different people and that, so it's available. This is what we have to do. The time has come. This is a bloody knockdown, drag 'em out fight, boys. You better make up your mind to that. There is no niceties here, because they understand nice and they just walk all over it. This is what happened in the first place. And this is just the beginning of the stealing of rights of people. This is, look what they tried to do to Elizabeth May. They'll steal rights wherever they can. You have to be vigilant, because always the fascist lurks. But justice and the freedoms, they were all fought for and bled for, but that doesn't mean they're going to stay if you don't fight for those rights. If you sit by quietly, well, if good men sit by quietly, well, evil flourishes. Then you can't cry when you don't have any rights, because you didn't do anything. And that's pretty much what's happening here. Everybody sat by, oh, well, it's not happened to me, what do I care? Well, it's happening to your uncle, brother, cousin, mother. And, people sit by and they don't tell the story. You should tell all your friends. Everybody should know what's happening to you. I know they'll get sick of listening to it, but hey, that's part of life too, But